You graciously acknowledged the many men in the audience, which is terrific. Do you have any specific advice for the men?
You know, I'm a big believer in treating men and women very similarly, and I have several men from Ingredion today who were very proactive in coming today, very wise. But I think it's important for both men and women to be proactive in their career and to have the skills and then to make a plan and then be willing to take risks. And so we give advice to men and women similarly, and even we offer our employees some short-term opportunities that might take them abroad to global areas. And so maybe they can't move their whole family, but maybe they'll take this assignment for 3 months or 6 months. So my advice to both the men and women at Ingredion and elsewhere is to be proactive, have a plan, and then take those risks.
Good. How would you define success besides being a CEO?
Well, in life, we all have our objectives. And for me, not only having a successful career, but having a successful marriage and family has been very important. And so I've made it a priority. And sometimes there are times when there were meetings that were set, and maybe it was a Sunday night, and I had to gently say, you know, is there a way that I could fly Monday morning instead of Sunday night and still make that meeting? Because it would mean that I would have missed my family Sunday meeting. And so again, I'd approach people and make sure that people were being flexible. So having a successful family life, has been as important to me as having a successful career.
I'm lucky to know your children and your wonderful husband. What kind of report card do you think they would give you?
Well, I will tell you that I do check often, and I'm happy to say they always give me a straight A.
Great. Have you had moments of doubt in your career, self-doubt?
You know, you need to have good people around you that push you in every case. And I will tell you that when I was offered this position in Paris, and I was dying to say yes right away, but I just couldn't figure out how to make it work from a family point of view, my husband said to me, you can do this, you know how to make it happen. So I never had a doubt in terms of my career and being successful, but in terms of managing the whole balance, I needed to have people around me to say, you can do it, you can make it happen, and you have to have a good partnership with your entire family to do that.
Okay. At any point in your career, did you ever think of starting and running your own business?
Not really. I've always been somebody who wanted to make it in the corporate world. Now, I enjoy corporations and delivering value, and I actually wanted to be one of the women who could make it. And no matter what was thrown in my way, what barrier, it just actually made me more focused on achieving it. So actually the barriers actually gave me more energy to be successful, and anybody who was a naysayer. So I never wanted to deviate from that and start my own business, but I wanted to be challenged in the corporate world at every point in time.
You were interviewed in the New York Times recently, and I believe you mentioned that you thought facing adversity could actually make a person stronger. Have you faced any adversity in your life, and if so, how did it make you stronger?
You know, that's a good question, and I made it a point of talking about adversity in that article because I think many people sitting here think, how am I going to get this done? You know, I don't have support from my in-laws, you know, I'm commuting. And the reality is that the adversity that I faced, as an example, in the 70s when I went to Europe and I never met any professional women, there was a lot of pushback from the male clients. I was in consulting then, who really looked at me like, what's your value added? And then when I was in the packaging field and I talked about being in manufacturing, there were no women there. And again, people would look at me as saying, you know, why do you think you can make this happen? And now you're pregnant. And I remember once being out in the forest land in Tennessee, and I think I was 7 months pregnant, looking at the factory there, and people were very nervous, you know, why is she here? But I always pushed ahead. And, you know, I will tell you that even more recently, you know, we all face, you know, bad things happen to good people. And actually, I'll share with you that 3 weeks after I became CEO of Ingredion, my brother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And that was quite sobering. I had this new job. I had a great team. I had to be there for my family. And we were able to make the strategic assessment and change we needed to do. So my advice to everybody is, no matter what the adversity you face, you can deal with it. There's nothing that's that difficult that you can't deal with it, but you have to bring other people in to help you. So without my strong team, or without my mentors during those many years of being out in the packaging field, I would not have been successful if I hadn't enlisted the help and support of other people.
Okay. Sheryl Sandberg talks about the tightrope that many women have to walk between being liked and being respected. Can you address your experience and thoughts on that?
Well, I do think it's important to be focused on what your goal is. And so my goal has always been to be thought of as somebody effective, results-driven. People say Ilene always has a plan, and I always say, what's plan A and plan B? So my goal has always been to be thought of as a very effective professional, but that's somebody who treats people right. But I've never looked to my business world to say, oh, well, you know, she's, you know, a nice person. You know, you want to be thought of as positive, but it's really all about getting the job done. So as an example, once when I was pitching to one of those division presidents, in fact, the one who told me that he didn't see me on the racetrack, when he finally actually gave me another packaging P&L job, he said to me, one of the reasons I'm giving you this job is that I know that you select top people, that you aspire to be results-oriented and you look for good people. And so, again, I've always been focused on getting the job done, delivering results, being a winning team, and moving the ball along, but you have to bring your team with you.
What would you do if you had not gone into the business world? If I were doing my life differently, different path, any passions?
Well, you know, early on, I tell the story that in the 60s, I thought I would be a high school math teacher. And while I did enjoy that experience when I was student teaching, but I met all these women who were going to be doctors and PhDs. And when I look back on it, I got to tell you that my team just came back from a team building exercise at a space center in Huntsville, Alabama. And we were exposed to what an astronaut does. And I got to tell you, if I came back to this world another time, I mean, I love the business world and I find it exciting, but I think a woman astronaut and landing on the moon would be really exciting.
Great. I think she could probably do it too. So anyhow, thank you so much, Ilene.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.